Hello there, thanks very much for joining us on NTV tonight. These are the stories we're following.
Tonight, another 5 firms emitting toxic flow are shut.
They are discharging untreated wastewater.
We name the companies polluting Nairobi River and putting lives at risk.
Also tonight, under siege but putting up a fight.
Purporting that they deregistered me.
Kenya National Union of Teachers reaches out to Raila Odinga to save Wilson Sossion.
Plus, flying deeper into the red.
We are reporting a loss of 8.5 billion shillings.
Kenya Airways growing loss path and the board's view on nationalization.
And 2 families, 2 corpses. But one family mistakenly buried the second family's kin.
Sisi hatuna makosa hapo. Hao ndio wako na makosa. Walichukua mtu yule maybe hapo identify mwili.
Wakatuletea mwili wa Mama Grace. Na tukaona mwili ndio huu. Mimi najua mamangu. Tukaona huyu ni mama na huyu ni mama.
NTV Tonight with Mark Masai and Smriti Vidyarthi.
Glad you could join us. David Agondor is our sign language interpreter tonight. To our top story. 9 people were today arrested and 5 companies shut down when officials from the National Environment Management Authority struck at Nairobi's industrial heartland in an effort to stop the discharge of toxic waste into rivers.
50 companies found to have offended regulations on effluent discharge have been shut down as NEMA cracks the whip in response to our expose toxic flow. NTV's Sharon Baranga reports.
At the entrance of Samia Agriculture and Livestock Limited, a company which processes Daima milk along Lunga Lunga Road in industrial area, the uninvited guests caused a stir. The guards had stopped officials from the National Environment Management Authority from accessing the factory, but later, and with the help of police officers, they gained access. They were here to inspect the facility and how it disposed of its waste and if it offended the standards set by NEMA. After an inspection and inquiries, the officers were not satisfied. They shut down the company and arrested the chief operating officer.
They are discharging untreated wastewater by bypassing the treatment plant. So we are going to close down the facility. We will continue with this, and I want to put all those facilities that are polluting our rivers on notice that NEMA is not going to stand and wait for you to pollute our rivers. We will continue with this exercise and ensure that our rivers are clean and these facilities are closed down.
From Samia, the officers went knocking on the doors of Cinerine's company. Here they found untreated waste released into the public sewer. The company was shut down. 2 employees were also arrested.
Even if you are connected to the sewer as an industry, you're supposed to pre-treat your wastewater to certain standards. And the standards are in Schedule 5 of our water quality regulation.
When we are looking at the Nairobi River ecosystem, we've identified 122 discharge points. And these are the points that we are currently enforcing to ensure that all these factories along the river basin that are discharging waste into our aquatic environment must be shut down.
For close to 30 minutes, officials from NEMA waited outside the gates of Exxon and Chloride Exide along Enterprise Road. Here they found that 3 companies housed in this compound do not comply with standards set by NEMA. 3 employees were arrested. NEMA's crackdown on companies choking the capital's waterways comes on the back of NTV's expose Toxic Flow that exposed how raw sewage and industrial waste flowed into the Nairobi River and its waters irrigated farms further downstream. 4 companies along Kampala Road in industrial area were also closed Monday, bringing to 50 the total number of companies closed. Apart from polluting the environment, some of those companies could not produce licenses that permitted them to run their businesses. Those arrested will be arraigned in court this week. Officials from the National Environment Management Authority say that such raids will not be unique to Nairobi alone. They are targeting all the 47 counties because they have a mission, which is to restore the lost glory of some of the major rivers across the country. Sharon Baranga, NTV, Nairobi.
Well, now to something that's more deadly for the people of Baringo, and 3 more people have succumbed to malaria, bringing the death toll from the outbreak to 10.
Doctors from Baringo County Referral Hospital have been dispatched to Tirioko Ward and surrounding areas in Tiati Sub-County in an effort to contain the outbreak. The most affected areas are Kongor, Kulel and Kapau, with over 70% of residents there testing positive.
Residents of Tiati in Baringo County have been battling the malaria outbreak for more than a week now.
And to a different battle for survival, and the fate of Wilson Sosion at the helm of the Kenya National Union of Teachers is still in doubt, as there's no indication as to when the National Executive Council will sit to chart a way forward, as a meeting called for Thursday was put off indefinitely.
Sosion, who's now clutching at straws, now hopes that ODM leader Raila Odinga will give him a hand. NTV's Brenda Wanga has more.
Yes.
The rush to save the embattled KNUT Secretary General has roped in the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Today, NAT officials from Nyanza sought the former Prime Minister's intervention as the union seeks to thaw the frosty relations that currently prevail between the union and its employers. The meeting, part of a series of events that the Secretary General now says informed the decision to cancel Thursday's National Executive Council meeting.
National Executive Council shall naturally have their meeting as agreed once we exhaust.
The National Executive Council had been expected to, amongst other things, make a decision on the position of the long-serving Secretary General in the face of his deregistration from the teacher's role, a fact that the Secretary General says has no impact on his legal standing to lead the union.
I want to ask, there are many teachers in Parliament, including the Chairman of Education Committee, Honorable Mele. Have they also deregistered him and all other members of Parliament? No, deregistration is an act of disciplinary action.
According to NAT's constitution, one shall cease to be a member of the union if they have been dismissed and the certificate, license or authority to teach cancelled by the TSC. So Sion now finds himself at the mercy of those who are opposed to his stay in office.
The teachers are suffering and the union is dying.
But his problems include more than just his removal from the classroom. His altercation with the Teacher Service Commission has seen members of the union excluded from the perks accorded to non-Kenya National Union of Teachers members, including promotions and the remittance of the 140 million shillings monthly NAT dues, a stalemate that has seen some 90,000 teachers defect to other unions in order to benefit from the CBA of 2016.
And I think this is the lowest level.
The Secretary General says the union has moved to court and filed contempt of court proceedings against their former employer to compel them to not only pay the union dues but also to reinstate the perks contained in the CBA, including the automatic promotion of teachers after 3 years at one job group. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Well, more than 18,000 school principals and deputies have quit the giant teachers' union in the last 3 weeks in a bitter fallout over a pay increment meant to have taken effect back in July.
The senior teachers who have joined the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers from NUT are among those earmarked for a 13 billion shillings pay rise in the third phase of the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement.
Well, as Kupet gains and NUT loses, what does it mean for one of Kenya's oldest and biggest unions? Grab your copy of the Daily Nation tomorrow and read more about it.
Our special focus on the week-long census continues, and there's been a total of 35 reported cases of crime or insecurity since the exercise began on Saturday night.
Yeah, and while the government assured Kenyans of their security, that of the enumerators has not been guaranteed, as a number of them have been caught up in violent exchanges. Mel Miendo reports.
Enumerators across the country are in some cases getting more than they bargained for. Some have been attacked and killed, all in the line of duty. This even as the government insists that it has heightened security.
We don't want to undermine the process of investigation. So this is something that we will provide once, these people have been taken to before the courts.
The instruction is they work up to 10, so that also they are provided with also security to go back home, so that we don't have any incidents of them having or being attacked.
But that has not been the case in some instances. On Tuesday, enumerators in Turkana County raised concern that they lacked security escort.
One census official was killed during the census exercise in a place called Nosukro. And that is something that we should be condemned.
This even as Ilchamus Ward MCA Joseph Leparasalach and Salabani Location Chief Francis Olekeprich, who were arrested on Monday for allegedly inciting residents to boycott the ongoing exercise, were released on a 100,000 shilling bond.
Kuna machifu wawili, are there 2 or 3? Machifu watatu na enumerator moja, ambao tayari wameshashikwa na watafikishwa mahakamani hivi karibuni.
In Maseno, an enumerator was gang raped on her way home, while in Loruko, in the border of Isiolo and Samburu counties, an enumerator was shot and injured, while an elderly man accompanying her was killed. Mel Miendo, NTV.
Well, speaking of insecurity, residents of Forole along the Kenya-Ethiopia border now say the government has failed them, only coming to the sites of slaughter to collect bodies.
While the military and the police beef up their numbers in the region, the women are concerned that if the tide of violence remains unchecked, whole villages could be wiped out.
Neatly packed rocks cover freshly dug graves in Forole, Marsabit County, hours after their kin were killed in an attack reported to have been carried out by militia from villages across the Kenya-Ethiopia border. Residents in this village prepare for their final rites. On this day, the women gather at this homestead to condole with Bokayo Okur, who lost her husband at this water point. The mother of 7 is one child less, as her 11-year-old son was killed alongside his father at the Forole borehole while attending to the family's herd. For now, she can only cuddle her 21-day-old baby as she contemplates life as a single parent.
They have killed our men before, and I'm pleading the government to come to my aid.
She and others who lost loved ones accused the government of employing half efforts to stop the violence. In May, another attack claimed 11 lives.
The police have done nothing since the massacre to protect us. Yesterday, when we were attacked at dawn, the police that I thought will protect us refused to go after the bandits who made away with our livestock. The police vehicle is of no use to us.
The government has been neglecting us in terms of our security. The government has not been of much help. We have not seen any government effort since 11 men were killed in May this year.
With the hills having failed to give protection to the residents here from the aggressors on the other side, residents want security officers to have a more permanent presence here.
But we want also the government to pursue these killers and bring them to book, because it has been occurring again and again.
And we are calling upon our policemen around to act swiftly whenever they are called upon to beef up security for our people.
The government says plans to beef up security in the area are on course. A military camp will be set up, while more police officers will be deployed in the region to curb further violence. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Let's hope that they attend to this and stop any more attacks in that area. Now to Siasa, as Jubilee seeks to wrestle the Kibra seat from ODM's grip in the upcoming by-election, it will first have to struggle to patch up the cracks in its own house.
NTV's political affairs reporter Kennedy Moredi spells out how the latest rift was opened up and widened by a letter.
The Kibra by-election is likely to expose Jubilee's soft underbelly as it tussles over the party's flag bearer in the November 7 poll. A letter by the Secretary General, Raphael Tuju, inviting interested aspirants to submit their names to the party's elections board on Monday, ignited an internal contest. Minutes after, another one, purportedly bearing the names of aspirants, was forwarded to the IEBC. But Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju denied the party had sent out the letter with a list of aspirants, saying his signature was forged. Jubilee blogger Dennis Itumbi, who now works in Deputy President William Ruto's office, insists the list was authentic. In a tweet, he said he had been vindicated after IEBC admitted to having received the letter from Jubilee. The commission, however, said it had written to the party for further action after Tuju denied authoring it. It is understood that the deputy party leader, William Ruto, and some of his close political allies insisted on the party's participation in the by-election, contrary to reports that Jubilee had planned to sit this election out in the spirit of the handshake. In the letter inviting interested aspirants, Tuju notes that their analysis and consultations confirmed that the party was competitive enough. This also backed by how the party fared in Langata, where a Jubilee candidate won, despite, as he put it, conventional political analysis. Langata MP Nixon Korir, a close confidant of DP Ruto, is now being touted as one of the key figures to drive the Jubilee agenda in Kibra. The DP's side is also said to be rooting for footballer McDonald Mariga, hoping to give ODM a run for its money and fashion the contest as a Raila Odinga versus William Ruto duel. Those in President Kenyatta's camp, however, argue the list was released to advance a narrative and shape the race for the seat. Meanwhile, ODM says it has cleared 11 aspirants to battle it out for the party's ticket during this Saturday's primaries. The list includes popular reggae host Awino Christone Odhiambo alias Chris Darling. The ODM Elections Board is also under strict instructions to have a transparent process that also reflects the wishes of Kibra residents.
Nataka wanachungwa waonyeshe taifa lote la Kenya na kama wana ODM ama machua.
Elections ziwe free and fair. Na wakati zitakuwa free and fair, I think itakuwa jambo poa sana kwa sababu yule ambaye atakayechaguliwa atakuwa amechaguliwa kwa sababu watu wa Kibra watakuwa wanataka huyo ndiye aweze kuongoza.
Na mimi niko ready kwa mchujo. Hata wakisema kesho twende mchujo niko tayari.
The Amani National Congress is also set to unveil former Raila Odinga strategist Eliud Owalo on Wednesday as its sole candidate for the November 7 duel. Kennedy Moredi, NTV.
All right, let's move away from politics now. And can you perhaps visualize how big an object is that weighs 400 grams, Mark?
It's just my phone here. I think this is 148, but perhaps this is a bottle of water, and I hope you can see it because it's no tag on it. And yes, that's 400 grams. And now imagine a baby born weighing just this much and roughly this size. Can't even hold it.
I mean, that is tiny. And you know what? The survival chances of such a baby that small is close to nil, as you can imagine. But get this, a medical team at the Kenyatta National Hospital have successfully nurtured a preterm baby who was born weighing just 400 grams.
Well, good for them. And the safe weight for babies ranges between, and we know this, 2.5 and 4 kilograms, meaning that the little one was born more than 6 times the lowest safe weight.
Well, tomorrow, KNH will unveil baby Jeremy Tubula, born on the 1st of April this year. He's been in hospital for the last 5 months.
The lowest birth weight recorded for a surviving infant is about 260 grams in the case of a baby in Illinois in the United States on the 19th of September 2020. 2004.
Well, baby Tubula now joins the list of one of the smallest babies in the world to ever survive. In January last year, another baby weighing 400 grams was also successfully nurtured in India.
We certainly look forward to meeting baby Tubula, and that will happen tomorrow as the Kenyatta National Hospital has promised to give us an update on this, and perhaps we'll be able to introduce the baby to you. Definitely grown bigger than this over the 5 months.
Yep, and it'll be great to see how well he's doing. Exactly. And well done to the team as well. All right, it's time for a breather here on NTV Tonight. Still to come though.
How a mix-up of corpses resurrected a family's agony in Bungoma. Stay with us.
When we say congratulations, it comes from the bottom of our hearts. It makes us happy when you win. That's why we pay immediate. When you take the smallest of amounts and turn them into the biggest wins, we celebrate with you. We are a family. We are stars shining together.
Breakfast is not complete without the new Minute Maid Nutri-Defense's Nectar Plus. Complete the most important meal of the day with the goodness of great-tasting juice fortified with vitamin E and zinc to complement your family's nutritional needs. Minute Maid Nutri-Defense's Nectar Plus. Breakfast complete.
Now you can get your Uber ride with a phone call. Call 0800 722 000 to ride.
Birthday party.
Birthday party.
Birthday party.
Are we not invited?
We have gifts.
Malaria.
Mommy, pests.
Run.
Oh, die.
Party.
Compared to an ordinary spray, Mortein Doom Power Guard kills disease-causing pests instantly. Mortein Doom Power Guard.
Eldoret Technical Training Institute, ETTI, is a student-centered institution. Let us show you the way to become the next generation of great market leaders, technical experts, innovators, and solution providers. Apply now for our September intakes in higher diploma, and certificate in the following courses: engineering, business administration, purchasing and supply management, general agriculture, tourism and hospitality, teaching, information communication technology, accounting, journalism and mass communication. Eldoret Technical Training Institute, growing reputation.
Thanks for staying with us to one of the stories that we highlighted. A mix-up at a mortuary in Bungoma County has left two families in double grief after it emerged that a body buried by one of the families was not that of their relative.
Very strange. Relatives went to pick up the body of Mary Nasimiu for burial, only to find out that her body was mistakenly buried by another family in Sirisia constituency.
A burial in Bungoma County was thrown into disarray after a family went to collect the body of their kin but discovered it was missing. Mourners who had turned up for the funeral in Nakalira village were left confused and had to go back home. The deceased, Mary Nasimiu, died on August 14th and her body was taken to Dreamland Mission Hospital mortuary. There was, however, confusion when her relatives went to pick up the body for burial.
Tukajaribu kuchukua mwili yetu tukapata mwili yetu hakuna.
It later emerged Mary's body had been mistakenly swapped with that of Grace Nahumicha from Mfungu Sirisia constituency. Family and relatives on Friday laid to rest the body of a woman they believed was that of Grace Nahumicha, only for Mary's family to show up and claim that the interred remains were that of their kin.
Tukapata fununu kwamba kuna mwili yenye ilitolewa Trimline kaenda ukaisika Sirisia.
Na kusema ukweli nimedhibitisha kwamba mama ako Mortuary. Mwili ambao tulizika ulikuwa tu mwili ambao si wetu.
Mtu akienda kuchukua mwili lazima waangalie mtu yule alikuwa close na hiyo familia na huyo mtu akuje identify. So sisi hatuna makosa hapo, hao ndio wako na makosa.
Hizi gharama zenye sasa kwenda kuexhume hiyo mwili na kupepa paka nyumbani kuzika. In fact hiyo nataka kupatia Trimline wenyewe wasimamie hiyo.
The family now says it has to organize a fresh burial for their kin, complete with elaborate rituals in accordance with the Bukusu traditions.
Hawezi toka kwa utongo, tuende tena tumuweke kwa nyumba alale, ati tumfanyie tena ibada.
The affected family has gone to court to obtain an exhumation order.
Now let's get news from the court, at least developments today. The High Court has ruled that every convicted prisoner with a determinate jail sentence has a right to a reduced prison term or a remission.
Justice George Odunga has declared Section 46 of the Prisons Act unconstitutional as it discriminates against those who should be entitled to possible reduced jail terms based on their behaviour as they serve time.
A reduced jail term is for those who have definite terms from a month to a term of years, but not for those under life sentence.
A Chinese national has been charged with evading tax of up to 190 million shillings. Gao Fei of New XTG Technologies Limited pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of failing to file returns contrary to the law.
In defense, Gao told the court that he had stage 3 colon cancer and had been in an accident, hence the court should release him on lenient terms.
Well, he was released then in a 1 million shilling bond.
Now, 3 people have been charged with fraud after they pretended to be witch doctors and defrauded an Asian couple of over 2 million shillings.
Titus Feather, Sharif Haji and Suleiman Msava are said to have lied to the couple that they could expel bad omens from 2 properties that they were intending to sell in Nyari and Kitusuru estates.
They denied the charges and were freed on a cash bail of 300,000 shillings. It's time for another break. We'll be getting into the business with Julian Zamboko and some of the stories you can expect.
Crisis at the Communications Authority. Outgoing Director General Francis Wangusi to stay in office a little bit longer as the Labour Court halts the appointment of his successor. Details coming up.
This is MotoHub, ultimately Kenya's finest car dealer company. Our cars are carefully sourced and selected, backed up with excellent skilled personnel. Our aim is to ensure value for your money as well as peace of mind.
When it comes to affordability check, reliability check, finance check, quality defined check, any type of car check. Whenever you need that dream car, tutembele. Mambo hapa yamenyooka nyoro.
So, are you in need of a car? Now you know. MotoHub, we are quality redefined.
John suffers from indigestion. His twin James suffers from heartburn. Sometimes it's the other way around or both. That's why they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts up to 4 hours. For double relief from heartburn and indigestion, Gaviscon Double Action. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Rough and tough quality textured coating gives your walls a tough and beautiful finish. Available in over 6,000 shades, it hides surface imperfections. Call us on 0709 887 000 to place your order. Crown. If you like it, crown it.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari. Nation FM. More music and less talk. Nairobi 96.3, Mombasa 101.5, Meru 93.9, Nyeri 104.9, Eldoret 102.7, and Nakuru on 97.7. Follow us on social media on Facebook at Nation FM, Instagram at Nation FM, and on Twitter at Nation FM KE. Nation FM. More music and less talk.
NTV Business News in association with the University of Nairobi.
Welcome to NTV Business. I am Julian Amboko. Now, Acting Director General of the Communications Authority of Kenya, Mercy Wanjau, will continue to serve in the interim capacity even after the court ordered a barring of the appointment of the substantive DG. This is after the Consumer Federation of Kenya moved to court to challenge Wanjau's appointment to the position, a move that Wangusi had termed illegal. Silas Apollo with the details.
Of a new boss at the Communication Authority now seems to have hit a snag after the Employment and Labour Relation Court halted the process. The Consumer Federation of Kenya had filed a suit in which it says the appointment of Mercy Wanjau as the acting CA boss did not conform with the law. COFEC says the appointment ought to have been done by the board and not the chairman.
Given 13th August 2019 are hereby extended with the consequence including that the recruitment, selection and appointment process for the Director General of the first interested.
This, according to CS Chairman Ngene Gituku, means that the court barred the authority from recruiting a new DG, but does not stop Wanjau from acting as the organization's boss, and therefore she still carries on as the interim Director General. Former DG Francis Wangusi remains out of the CA.
Already enumerated this in the
A three-judge bench had earlier stopped the appointment of a new board after activist Okia Omtata moved to court to have the process suspended. Omtata made the application while citing sections of the controversial Kenya Information and Communication Act, which he said had been illegally sneaked in by Parliament. COFEC told the court that CA had no board in place and therefore appointing Wanjau did not follow the constitution. But CA, through former Attorney General Githu Muigai, refuted the claims, arguing that the board exists, only that it is not fully constituted. The case will be mentioned on September 10th. Silas Apollo, NTV.
And away from that, Kenya Airways has recorded a loss of 8.86 billion shillings in the first half of 2019, more than double the loss it reported at a similar period last year. The airline is now staring at nationalization as perhaps the only viable option if it is to stay afloat. Alex Mwangi reports on the troubled airline, which has in the recent months cancelled more than 500 flights.
The financials of Kenya Airways have been in the red for a couple of years now, and when it came to reporting the half-year results for January to June, the indications are that it has flown deeper into turbulence, from making a loss of 3.99 billion shillings last year to 8.56 billion shillings.
It's increased costs from the new routes and the frequencies that we've introduced. This is an investment that we've taken consciously as a business for purposes of sweating our assets to basically grow these routes.
Our problem that we are facing short term, but since quite some time, is the capacity of recruiting more pilots. And actually we are very interested in recruiting more pilots, but it's not a secret that we have an extremely restrictive CBA.
The company's revenue for the 6-month period grew by slightly over 6 billion shillings to 58.55 billion shillings. Costs, however, increased at a higher rate than the revenue, going up from 56.19 billion shillings to 67.11 billion shillings. This culminated in the expanded loss from 3.99 billion shillings to 8.56 billion shillings.
We have to be able to compete on a level playing field by bringing our costs down and to gain the benefit of operating it on an integrated basis between the airport and the airline, which is what all our competitors do.
Kenya Airways is facing stiff competition from regional carriers, Middle Eastern carriers, as well as new entrants into the aviation business. Literally hundreds of meters from where I am standing right now, Air Uganda landed on its inaugural flight from Entebbe.
Air Tanzania is coming. We have newcomers to this market. Even if they start with 1, 2, 3 planes, they are still players on the market which is small but growing.
Nationalization is not what we want. Okay, it's not what we would like to be. We do not, and I think none of the people working here want to be working in a state-owned corporation for all different connotations. But it's what we need to do in order to be competitive and to bring us back to where we need to be.
The issue of nationalization now seems like a bitter pill that the national carrier will have to swallow. But when that will happen, and if it will be actualized, still remain unknowns. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
And away from financial turbulence, the National Treasury is now placing the blame for failure to disburse up to 2.5 billion shillings worth of county funds in the financial year 2018-2019 on the devolved governments. Treasury says in a statement that 1 billion shillings earmarked for the development of youth polytechnics is still withheld by the Exchequer due to failure by some of the counties to adhere to the requirements of conditional allocation. Additionally, 600 million shillings designated for the construction of county headquarters is still with the National Treasury, as well as 845 million shillings of allocation from the Road Maintenance Levy Fund. This comes at a time when operations at the counties are constrained by the stalemate over the division of revenue bill. And let's get back to matters aviation. Now, the quest for deeper regional integration in East Africa received a shot in the arm following the inaugural flight of Uganda Airlines to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport today. The flight to JKI was the airline's inaugural flight after 18 years of absence from the skies following the liquidation of Uganda Airlines Corporation in May 2001. Uganda Airlines Chief Executive Officer Ephraim Bagenda says the airline is starting off with 7 destinations, including Nairobi, Juba, Mogadishu, and Dar es Salaam. Kenya's Regional Integration Cabinet Secretary Aidan Mohamed welcomed the airline, terming it as a great stride for regional ties.
When we have 2 more of our CRJ aircraft which will be delivered towards the end of next month, we will expand our network to cover the rest of the Central and East African region.
On average, on a daily basis, we have more than or nearly 900 events, that is a takeoff and landing across our airports that are manned by the Civil Aviation Authority. What makes this additional entry different is that this is an airline that is part of our region, part of our home. And we would like to say to our colleagues, brothers and sisters from Uganda, welcome home.
And away from that, President Uhuru Kenyatta has officially declared vacancy in the office of the Auditor General through a Gazette notice published on Tuesday, and has invited qualified Kenyans to submit their applications for the job by 5 p.m. September 9th. This is after Edward Ouko, the man who has held the post for the last 8 years, bid the office adieu following the end of his term. Lillian Carrier with the details.
It has been a rocky 8 years for the man whose audit reports exposed corruption in government and in turn put him on a collision course with politicians who tried to cut him down to size.
The very people who are meant to protect me were the very people who are now roasting me.
In 2016, his audit report on the now infamous 280 billion shillings Eurobond earned him a scathing attack from the presidency itself and a petition filed in Parliament to have him removed from office. In response, Ouko sued the President and the Attorney General. But now, as he bids the office goodbye, he says that the government would do good to remove politics from the audit process.
As we are set up, I do the report, give it to PAC. PAC deliberates on the report, prepares another report on my report, to be presented, and those reports are not actionable until it is adopted. The whole thing is not working, at least from where I stand.
As his office churned out the reports that laid bare the extent of theft in the government, not much action was taken to seek explanation for the red flags raised. This, Ouko blames partly on the Kenyan populace who failed to push for accountability within the government.
The regret is that I would have liked my reports to be more impactful.
On the flip side, in all the 8 years he was in office, he was never audited himself, despite Parliament having the mandate to appoint an auditor for him.
I'm not against the Parliament appointing the auditor for me, but we got to find that structure working.
Over the last 8 years, the Auditor General has been buried in paperwork, auditing the national government, county, and also other public institutions. He left a high-profile job at the African Development Bank, which was paying him about 20 million annually then, for this job here. And as he leaves his office in limbo as there is no replacement yet. Lillian Kiarie, NTV.
That's quite a pay cut he took, but we wish him well on the next journey. Elsewhere, judges in Mombasa have upheld a High Court order halting the execution of a memorandum of understanding between the government and the Mediterranean Shipping Company to operate the second container terminal at the port of Mombasa. A three-judge bench said that the High Court ruling was made on merit. The judges say the application by Attorney General Kihara Kariuki, the Kenya Ports Authority, Transport CS James Masharia, to review the conservatory orders lacked merit. The petitioners in the case say there was no adequate public participation in the process and that 5,000 workers would lose their jobs in the deal with the MSC.
NTV Business News in association with the University of Nairobi.
Interested applicants should apply online at application.uonbi.ac.ke. The University of Nairobi, a world-class university committed to scholarly excellence.
And up next, we have the financial report. And that's it from the business desk, but coming up, reggae host Chris Darling caused a star when he bowed before Baba, but this is how they do it in Thailand. We'll tell you more after the break.
The University of Nairobi is receiving applications for the September 2019 intake. Interested applicants should apply online at application.uonbi.ac.ke. Choose a course from its diverse market-driven and internationally recognized programs in undergraduate, postgraduate and fellowship programs in arts, business, economics, journalism and mass communication, law, education, project planning and management, computer science, medicine, among many others. For more detail, visit our website www.uonbi.ac.ke. The University of Nairobi, a world-class university committed to scholarly excellence.
Who wants to answer? Mary?
Mary has a toothache.
Oh, I see. And who knows why?
Because her tooth is too big.
No, it might be a hole in her tooth called a cavity. That's why I brush twice a day using Colgate.
Imagine this is your tooth and these are food acids that cause cavities. Colgate with calcium and fluoride helps prevent cavities
For maximum cavity protection.
and now available in a 12-gram sachet for fresh breath. Only 15 shillings.
Mzee, I'm hungry.
Yes, with some extra fries. Delivery on the way.
So extra.
Aren't you tired of hoping for no candidates to see? No! 20 bucks! 20 bucks!
So extra.
be extra because extra data is always better with extra minutes. Dial *544# to subscribe and share Live Extra. Telkom, moving with you.
Looking for an institution to further your studies and wholesome growth in a serene environment? Kenya Methodist University KEMU is your best choice. Join our market-driven programs at Diploma, Bachelor's, Master's and PhD in Meru, Nairobi and Mombasa campuses and shape your career path. September 2019 and January 2020 intakes are ongoing. Call us today on 0724-256-162 or 0725-751-878. Kenya Methodist University. The future is here.
Selena! Toto, where's mommy? Today's a toilet day. What? Oh.
Selena!
Toilet day?
Tomorrow we're hosting a party and it's a matter of my reputation.
It's a toilet, not a white shirt. Even if you spend your entire day cleaning with bleach and detergent, it still won't be party ready.
Impossible.
Challenge. Harpic 10X. Even if you use bleach and detergent 10 times, they won't give you the same sparkling clean toilet that Harpic 10X will give you.
Wow!
Harpic 10X. Harpic, Kenya's #1 toilet cleaner.
Thank you for staying with us. As the country marks 9 years since it ratified a new supreme law, Kenyans have been faced with a bad-tempered political trench warfare over plans to change parts of the constitution through a referendum.
NTV's Vincent Odor sat down with some legal minds who are of the view that the constitution should be implemented in full first before making any changes to it.
After the wounds of the 2007 election, many of them self-inflicted, the promulgation of the new constitution in 2010 meant a time for the country to reset. Its authors envisioned a transformation in how power was distributed and managed. 9 years later, lawyer Charles Kanjama feels the Bill of Rights under the constitution has been substantially expanded.
Constitutional commissions have generally been working much better than the situation we had before 2010. There's also been a much greater attempt to improve inclusivity in governance, in our structures of governance. Public participation has become a major issue.
Even though many observers see it as a fairly good law, it has faced criticism for increasing the cost of governance in the country, among other shortcomings. These amid a clamor to change bits and pieces of it through a national referendum.
Fight against corruption, and people have said that Chapter 6 of the Constitution has not been fully implemented.
Kamotho Waiganjo, a former member of the commission that was tasked with overseeing the implementation of the constitution, is of the view that the country's most supreme charter should be implemented in full first before any changes are made.
One of the ways in which we wanted to do this was ensuring that we disperse financial muscle to the 47 counties, so that as much as possible Kenyans are able to invest in those regions and ensure that therefore you have a dispersal of power from Nairobi. We have not done as well. We've starved the counties of money. If you take issues like the inclusion of gender in governance, we have been reluctant converts in that process.
Opposition leader Raila Odinga has been calling for the amendment of the constitution through the Building Bridges initiative. He has received support from President Uhuru Kenyatta as Third Way Alliance continues with its Punguza Mizigo initiative.
Should our priorities be amending it or implementing it? Now, if we had implemented it fully, tried it out, and then realized some things are not working, then yes, let's amend those. But I get the sense that we have not even tried out a lot of the things that we want to change now.
If you are changing it just because of the politics of the moment, of course there will be a concern.
Odinga maintains there will be a referendum next year to amend the 2010 constitution. Vincent Odur, NTV.
Elsewhere, popular MC and DJ Chris Darlin became the butt of online jokes and trolls for kneeling before ODM leader Raila Odinga in an effort to win his favour ahead of the upcoming by-election in Kibra.
The DJ made the most of his chance to address a crowd that witnessed the unveiling of ODM aspirants on Sunday at Kamukunji grounds by going on his knees to implore Odinga to hand him the party ticket.
Well, he was accused of stooping too low, but there's apparently nothing wrong with bending the knee, especially if you're from Thailand.
This is just how low they go. As you can see, the Thai cabinet scene here had to take their oath for a second time after a blunder the first time.
That's the cabinet. The oath-taking ceremony involves an elaborate process of reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to King Maha X, prostrating at a portrait of the king, and eventually bowing at his feet. What do you say to that? All right, elsewhere, police in Kitengela have recovered an AK-47 gun which was abandoned on the roadside behind the Kitengela West Hospital.
Police say members of the public alerted them of the weapon which they spotted in a thicket. It is suspected to have been used by robbers who have been terrorizing residents in the town and owned by suspects who are currently in police custody.
The senior police commander says that police officers on patrol cornered these suspects, but they ran away, dropping the gun and a magazine bearing 3 rounds of ammunition.
The gun was used by some suspects currently in police custody.
Kwa muda mrefu sana na tuko na hakika kwamba kwa sababu tulikamata wezi tuko nao na tumepeleka kotini na saa hii tumekamata hii bunduki kitu ilikuwa imebaki ni hii bunduki. Tuko na hakika ya kwamba area ya Kitengela itakuwa free from any maneno ya wizi ambayo inatendeka pale.
Wamekamata bunduki. I found that funny.
All right, it's the little things. All right, it's 10 to 10, taking a quick break, but the sports news is up next.
We'll be previewing the upcoming KPL and NSL football seasons and tell you why the league will start a little early this time.
Why aren't you wearing the ring?
2 is company.
I don't know what I'm supposed to feel about this.
Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Time to play. Welcome to NTV Sport. I am Waro Tekiru. The 2019-2020 Kenyan Premier League season kicks off on Friday afternoon with Karabangi Sharks facing Western Stima at the Kasarani Stadium. Ahead of kickoff, Brian Otoa looks at the challenges that the league organizers as well as the clubs are grappling with, the largest one being lack of Stadia. And we will be having that story, and also remember that the Africa Cup of Africa and games that are ongoing in Rabat, Morocco. Aida Waringa is giving us that update shortly about birthday in the office for the Kenyan team. Who is he playing this?
is after the purchase of Eldoret Youth FC by wealthy football lovers from the northern part of the country.
Team hii ya Northern Wanderers ambayo ina represent the northern region of this country.
Eldoret Youth was relaunched as Northern Wanderers FC in April this year with the goal of tapping talent in the north and with Garissa Town MP Aden Duale as the patron.
The players, if you ask me, were playing in county leagues and sub-branch leagues. Kuna mmoja wawili watatu labda walicheza Div 2.
For the last couple of weeks, Garissa-based Northern Wanderers FC has camped in Nairobi and played with various teams as part of their pre-season preparations.
We've played with Kangemi All-Stars. Of course, they're not as good as they were supposed to be. They were an NSL side last season, but they were relegated. They are now playing Div 2. We have beaten them with 4 goals to 2. We have played with Kariobangi Sharks, ambao wako Div 1.
Lack of sporting infrastructure is a problem countrywide and more so in the north.
For example, there's a player who came from Mandera up to here Nairobi. That was a 2 days journey. Yani unakaa kwa bus for 2 days, my friend. So that is actually the challenge everywhere. It's in education, in sports and everywhere. But completely sports is marginalized in northern Kenya. It's marginalized because we were not supposed to be here in Nairobi in the first place as our home ground, because there were no facilities that we could use in northern Kenya.
Early Tuesday morning, Northern Wanderers played a pre-season friendly match against Gor Mahia youth team at Camp Toyoyo that ended at a 6-all draw. Northern Wanderers will begin its NSL campaign against Nairobi Steamer on Sunday, 1st September at Camp Toyoyo grounds.
Now that story obviously was about Northern Kenya having representation in the 2019-2020 National Super League through Northern Wanderers FC, and not about the Kenyan Premier League, which is the story that I will be telling you about now. And the 2019-2020 Kenyan Premier League season kicks off on Friday afternoon with Kariobangi Sharks facing Western Stima at the Kasarani Stadium. Ahead of kickoff, Baringo looks at the challenges that the league organizers as well as the clubs are grappling with, the biggest one being lack of Stadia.
Days to the start of the new Kenyan Premier League season, and lack of Stadia due to delayed renovations across the country remains a stumbling block to the growth of Kenya's top flight league.
We've had promises from the leaders of the nation, but unfortunately nothing has come to fruition. So the stadium has been quite a challenge for the league.
Kasarani Stadium is the only venue which is up to international standards available in the country.
I think it's going to be difficult to address the overuse, but I think what we need to focus on is the maintenance after it's been used for a league match.
There was a glimmer of hope that Nyayo Stadium will reopen since its closure 2 years ago after it hosted the National Athletics Championship, but it is not yet up to scratch, with contractors having downed their tools, citing lack of funds. The Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos was overused by clubs last season, leading to wear and tear, and it has since been banned by CAF from hosting international matches. Clubs have been forced to be creative, with the soon-to-be-opened Dandora Stadium set to be the home venue for Kariobangi Sharks. Gusii Stadium as well as the Narok and Kericho grounds will also be used, with long-distance travel set to be a challenge.
The referees are prepared to be able to officiate in any ground, even if it is just a bare ground. What is important is the match is played and goals are scored to the amusement of fans.
Newly promoted Kisumu All-Stars are in the hunt for a home venue, as the Moi Stadium in Kisumu is poised to get yet another facelift.
We shall be moving to the showgrounds, so that's where we shall be having our home matches. But in alternate also, we shall have some of our matches in Gusii and Kericho.
Lack of Stadia aside, the departure of title sponsors means that finances will be a struggle, with the 18 Kenyan Premier League clubs as well as the KPL management facing a financial headache. Football is about visibility, but the league is yet to tackle the lack of a serious broadcast partner. Defending champions Gor Mahia start their campaign on Saturday against Tusker FC at the Moi Stadium in Kisumu, with Kisumu All-Stars facing Ulinzi Stars in their early kickoff. Brian Otwal, NTV Sport.
And let's go to the grassroots. Nzaini FC were crowned the winners of the FKF Machakos Sub-Branch Kola Super League after beating their arch rivals Mumandu FC 2-1 at the finals played at the Iuni grounds. The finals were graced by the Harambee Stars coach Francis Kimanzi, who is hoping to cast his net wider in acquiring talent from the grassroots level all the way to the national football team. Kimanzi, who is one of the coaches with the top coaching certificates in the country, promised to help in training of coaches for teams which play in grassroots football tournaments across the country.
Mjachelewa jamaa, mpambane because bado kuna nafasi na msijaribu kuacha kuparticipate kwa tona. Hizi tona ndio kila kitu. Sawa? Hapa ndio mwanzo. Huwezi piga ile, huwezi ruka pale juma haraka hivyo.
Now let's walk the greens, and Nyali Golf and Country Club's resident professional Zuguna Ngugi shot an impressive round of 5 under par 66 to storm to the top of the leaderboard after the third round of his home leg of the Safari Tour Golf Series. Ngugi, who had played a round of 69 on Monday, placing him 2 shots behind the overnight leaders, returned a blemish-free card after round 3 to give him a 2-shot lead heading into the final round of play. Motega Golf Club's Greg Snow moved into second place after returning a round score of 3 under par 68. Overnight leader Dennis Saikwa now sits third on an overall score of 3 over par 216, one ahead of David Wahu and Alfred Nandwa, who are fourth heading into the final round. And we talked about Northern Honduras being bought, and now let's talk about a French team which has also been bought, and British billionaire Jim Ratcliffe hopes to make a
edition of the global education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Gold medals in both, however, that was not to be. Ethiopia did run away with the medals in the women's 800 meters and also in the men's 10,000 meters. Ida Waringa's story on that will air in our bulletins tomorrow. But for now, that's your sport.
And that's it for NTV Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Mark Masai.
Thanks to David Agondoa, our sign language interpreter. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi. Do stay tuned. Sidebar with Ken Majungu is coming up in just a moment.
This is NTV.